I think of God being a God of order, right? And anything that is out of order is in disorder. And I just think of dysfunction, right?
Mm-hmm.
A house divided can't stand. And so if you want to build something that's on solid ground and foundation and something that's going to be built to last, then we need to go to the one who created it in the order in which he created it and follow that. And so if God is first, because you said that marriage is the most important human relationship, and then we have our relationship with God that always supersedes anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have that, and then we have our relationships with our spouse. If that is the most important and should be the most prioritized relationship that we have, that lets you know that it won't work in any other order. So marriage only works if it is in first place. And so
working how God needs it to work.
Exactly. And if you want to experience success in your marriage, because I believe a lot of what we see in marriages in terms of like issues that come up or even that end up in divorce, there was a mismanagement of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere, somehow, it really boils down to that. And so if we want to be successful and enjoy the marriage the way that God designed it, it's important to prioritize your marriage.
We still do. We still do. We still do. We still do. After all this time at the altar, I alter my mind and vow to God I love you till he make his return. The rain should be the least of your concern. Under God's umbrella, I promise to provide and preserve his word and to serve your mind and spirit. Let me drive the boat. I promise I'ma steer it. The devil cannot get near it. You'll know this soon as you hear it. You need me, I need you. Even after the altar, we still do.
Welcome back to another episode of We Still Do. We are your hosts. My name is Lena.
I'm Jermaine.
And we believe here at We Still Do that you can thrive after the altar, whether you are newlyweds or decades in. We Still Do has something for you.
Yes. Like, subscribe, click that notification button. We got episodes dropping every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, tap in with us, man. So before we get started, let's just do ours. How you doing?
Do our. I'm doing good, love. I'm hungry though.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I'm doing good. Actually, I feel good.
I smell you.
Feel good about the. Wow! Don't play me. I felt good about the whole thing. How are you?
I'm good. Not as hungry as you. If you know, you know.
Give me a kiss.
No. You're hungry. I tried to be like very subliminal, but I guess you want people to know.
Wow.
Anyways.
This is how you see the disrespect that I get. You're supposed to love me like Christ. Is that what Christ would do? I don't think so.
Listen, do you want me to flip you over or tell you you're hungry?
Okay. Tell them what we're talking about.
I was thinking of him flipping over the tables.
No, you tried it and that just wasn't good. Tell them what we're talking about.
Flipping you over. Anyways, so today we really want to talk about something that we feel is an issue, because from our last episode, if you haven't heard that, go back and check it out. One of the things that we feel is needed in marriage is understanding, like, what is your wife's role as far as priority? Because there's a lot of things that compete with that. Not even your wife's role, but what is your spouse's role?
Spouse's role, yeah, it's for both.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel that at the base of who we are, decisions are made because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we deem as important? What do we deem as necessary? And we make decisions based off of what we think. So today we wanted to talk about priorities. You know, when you think of priorities, and it really comes from, you know, we talked about last episode, we're going to talk about it again, it's Genesis 2, verses 24. And I want to read it because I want y'all to know it's exactly what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And
in the
beginning. So we're going to go to verse 2, chapter 2, verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." They shall become one flesh. So we want to talk about this because we really feel that when it comes to priority, a lot of decisions that we make are based off of whether we prioritize our spouse enough. And I really want to emphasize enough, because it's not a matter of saying your spouse is, you know what I'm saying, like, important or not. We know that you know your spouse is important. If you don't, get counseling, get help, something. Like, your spouse is important. And in fact, your spouse is the most important human relationship that you will have. And when you think about the person who can stress you out the most, the person who has the ability to hurt you the deepest, cut you the deepest,
love you the most,
okay, the person that's going to do the most damage, I'm just
give the
saying
most,
that.
Care the most.
Give the most, care the most.
Wow.
I'm making a point. You almost messed up my point.
Get to it.
The person who has the biggest impact on your life is the person that is closest to you. That should tell you that that relationship should be the one that is taken care of the most. Because it doesn't matter if you go to work 12 hours and you spend an hour with your spouse a day. That hour a day can mess up your whole day. And that's because the closer someone is to you, the bigger impact they'll have on your life. And so when we have this principle when we have this command in Genesis 2, where it says, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, that is something to be understood. And so it's like, when you think about, honey, the reason why, I think that is very important. And I think it really speaks to us today as well, just with this reprioritizing. And so when it talks about leave, I think we can get that misinterpreted. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can not understand that correctly, because a lot of times, listen, this cult, whatever, if this is your thing culturally, whatever, a lot of times the men are taught that you got to go out and find your wife. And they use this verse. Like, you got to go and find her. I don't know where. Maybe you might meet her in the east. Maybe you might meet her in the north. Like, a lot of times they really use that, but that's not what this verse is talking about.
But a man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
He finds a wife
so
and finds a good thing. So
he's supposed to seek now.
But this is not what this verse is talking about.
Okay, not this verse. Okay.
This verse
but that still stands. Yes. Okay, go. This verse. We're talking about this verse. Go ahead.
It says find. Doesn't say seek.
Okay.
So, but anyways, this verse says reprioritize. And so the question should be, why do we have to reprioritize? What is it about mom and dad relationships to their kids that need to be prioritized once a man finds a wife? That's very important, because it deals with it. Like, the author of this book in Genesis, he's addressing a culture. We got to remember that he's addressing a culture.
Yeah.
And the culture is very patriarchal, which means that as the head of the house, the man, he has a lot of control. He has a lot of authority, and everything basically is filtered through him. There's such an emphasis on the men in the family, and in the culture, it was almost as if like the women were added to. And so there had to be this shift in priority, because basically what the author was saying is like this one flesh is God's foundation for every marriage. It's hard to have that foundation if the loyalty is still to the parents.
Yeah.
And so in that, it doesn't necessarily say you are to stop being loyal to your parents or stop honoring your parents. What it's saying is, now that the honor and loyalty is in a new position, it's now your priority is your spouse. And the reason why it was important for the author to address this to the culture is because a lot of times because the men had so much authority, women would be mistreated. And so because women would be mistreated, God spoke through the author to say, no, this is what I need it to look like. Because if this is going to be the foundation, it is also the model for the generations to follow. Mm-hmm. And how does that apply to us today? Well, it's still the model for Christian couples today. There needs to be a reprioritizing of the relationships in our life, because if not, you can be providing for your spouse, but not providing for your spouse, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll say it this way. So, for example, if you have been taught that providing for your wife financially is what you have to do as a man, you'll stick to that. Mm-hmm. And you'll neglect to provide for her emotionally. And when you don't cleave to your wife or hold fast to her, then that means that in those moments where you're not holding fast to her, because I do think there are moments where, you know, like there may be some relational distress and we kind of separate from each other. In those moments, it makes it very hard for us to get past ourselves to provide a need. So if we learn that if our spouse is telling us like, hey, I want you to be more emotionally intimate with me, you might hold on to the idea that you got from your parents that says financially providing is what you have to do as a man instead of providing for your spouse emotionally. And when you cleave to your spouse, I think reprioritizing is also like listening to what she wants to hear or what she has to say as a spouse. Mm-hmm. And so I think with reprioritizing in that way, like understanding that scripture, what it means to like leave and cleave, that helps us as men like look at what the need of our spouses are.
I think of God being a God of order, right? And anything that is out of order is in disorder. And I just think of dysfunction, right? Mm-hmm. A house divided can't stand. And so if you want to build something that's on solid ground and foundation and something that's going to be built to last, then we need to go to the one who created it in the order in which he created it and follow that. And so if God is first, because you said that marriage is the most important human relationship, and then we have our relationship with God that always supersedes anything, right? Mm-hmm. So we have that, and then we have our relationships with our spouse. If that is the most important and should be the most prioritized relationship that we have, that lets you know that it won't work in any other order. So marriage only works if it is in first place. And so
working how God needs it to work.
Exactly. And if you want to experience success in your marriage, because I believe a lot of what we see in marriages in terms of like issues that come up or even that end up in divorce, there was a mismanagement of priorities. Mm-hmm. Somewhere, somehow, it really boils down to that. And so if we want to be successful and enjoy the marriage the way that God designed it, it's important to prioritize your marriage. Now, that could be, for men, we hear a lot where work is prioritized, and sometimes it feels like work is the thing that is prioritized over the spouse. For men, they may say the kids are more prioritized than me, right? Because women tend to, you have these kids that are dependent on you, we tend to give all that we have to them. But I think it's important, you spoke for the men, but even as women, like if you have kids, it's important for them to even see what a healthy, fulfilled marriage looks like, because it betters their chances of also experiencing that when they get married. And so if you don't have that, then it's even, you're the first model of what they have. Mm-hmm. And more is caught than what is taught. You can tell them what a healthy marriage should look like or even desire that for them, but I think showing them will be more effective. And so this prioritizing of one another has to be first if we want to see success. And anything outside of that brings this righteous jealousy that we spoke about in a previous episode. Like there is this righteous jealousy for anything that is taking you away from me, whether that be your job, whether that be your hobbies, whether that be your mother or anybody else, you know. Mm-hmm. The oneness we are creating with each other, and not, you know, we're not becoming three with our parents. Obviously it's a three-chord with the Lord, but outside of that, it's about us. And so I think that we have lost the emphasis of prioritizing the marriage. And I know part of it is the enemy's tactic. You know, they say if the enemy can't get in front of you and stop you, then he'll get behind you and push you too fast to where you're focused on all these other things and busy about everything else, that you're not prioritizing what truly matters.
Yeah. And I think you touched on something that's really important. It's not a matter of it being like bad things that are taking your priority away. Like, it's not a matter of like some other woman or some other man or
Right.
like addiction or drugs. Most of the time it's things that are good. Like it is the things that make you feel like, but I should be doing these. Like, these are like the things that I'm like, I should be working. I should be a parent. I should be in ministry. Like, I should be a teacher. Like, all the things, like, those are good things. Like, you traveling to speak or minister, like, all of those are good things. And you might spend most of your time doing those things. But if your spouse feels that you are prioritizing those things in the moments where they need you the most over them, then that's where that righteous jealousy comes in, and that's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Because your spouse needs to know that when I need you, and I tell you I need you, and I tell you that I need more time, I tell you that I'm sick, and I want you to be the one to, you know, stay home with me, like whatever that looks like contextually, like when they tell you that, they need to know that you're there for them. And if you don't, then the pattern that you're starting to create is, yeah, I'm married to them, but I can't depend on them. I can depend on them to provide, but I can't depend on them to be there when I need them the most. I can't depend on them to meet my emotional needs. And oftentimes we don't know that it's those subtle patterns that turn into big patterns that turn into emotional needs getting met somewhere outside of the marriage.
Yeah.
And now when we see emotional infidelity, when we see like our spouses telling their friends something that we wish they would tell us, we don't understand that it was the moments where we missed the mark of being there for them that could have prevented them going to someone else to share.
That's good. That's really, really good. I think of, you said so much, but those little things in the moment, I think what you're really saying is like, this is more important. That's how I would interpret that.
Yeah.
Like, this is more important than you in this moment. And obviously, like you just read, that obviously shouldn't be the case when prioritizing. And when I think of prioritizing, in terms of you prioritizing me, I think of sacrifice, right? Like, sometimes you may have to give up some things that are good that you want to do for the sake of being present and being here with us. Now, for you, because I know you love to do all the things, and you're a very ambitious, driven man.
Yeah.
How does that affect you? Like, to have to sacrifice. Is it this joy that you get because you love us so much, or is it this hard thing that you have to say no to the good things in order to prioritize what's best?
Sometimes it's difficult, especially with how God wired me. It's very difficult at times because, like, I want to hit the ground running and I just want to go. And prioritizing means that I have to slow down. And I remember graduating and wanting to jump into my doctorate degree, and you had this dream and it caused this anxiety to come up, and it's just like, wait, no, this is going to be too much for our family. And me not wanting to take a break from school and go ahead and getting my doctorate degree out of the way, it was like, if I do that, my family's going to suffer. If I don't do it now, there's a part of me that feels like I'm suffering.
Wow, it feels like suffering.
It does. And I think that makes it difficult because there is a part of the person that is suffering when you have to sacrifice yourself, like sacrifice the things that you want to do, you know what I'm saying, for the health of your marriage.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes to do that. Like, I remember I had like I have like I think from now until like the end of the year, I had in my head I had like
in my mind
I had like 10 more workshops I wanted to do.
Wow.
But then I remember you said something like how exhausted and how tired and how this and how that you are, and I'm like, okay, well, my goal is I at least want to do 3. And I put 3 down on my goals list because I know the calling that I have on my life, but I also know the marriage that I have as well. And because my relationship with you is so much more important, that is a part of dying to myself. Like that is a part of like bearing my cross. Like it sucks that I can't really go as fast as I want. You know what I'm saying? And so I think a part of suffering is really learning your pace. Like when you learn that, okay, like in this season, this is a pace I have to go at, not just for my well-being, but for the health of my marriage and the health of my spouse and the health of my family, then I have to find a way to be content in this. You know, in Philippians where Paul talks about he had to learn to be content, it was in good and bad situations. And it wasn't until he was in those situations where the learning happened and he was able to think, he was able to reflect, and it was like, okay, that's what it means when he says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Like, I can learn how to build a tolerance for those moments where I have to learn how to be content. And so it is hard work to prioritize your spouse. Like don't get me wrong, like if I could, don't play around and give me the green light, because I just might sign up for that master's program for August, even I know August is in a couple
today it's August.
Yeah, so I mean it is hard when you have to prioritize your spouse as a husband.
And you do have a calling on your life. You're anointed. You're going to do so many great things. Already is, and will to come. But when I think of your greatest calling is going to be here. And I think a lot of times we forget that because, you're called to them. But if you want to change the world, it starts in your own home. And even in Timothy, he talks about that. And he's like, he was talking specifically to people that are in the church. And it's like, no, get your home in order first. Then you can go and, to the church and preaching and all the things. And so I think that's important because we say like our marriage is our ministry. And so we're called to our kids, right? This is what the Lord has entrusted us to steward well. And for us, that looks like sanctification and holiness and the purpose God has given us, which is marriages. For our babies, that's discipling them, right? Nobody else can take our place in that. So if we're out of order and we move out of position because we want to run right here in this lane, especially outside of timing, because I believe timing is everything. There will be a time where our babies are grown. You could travel. We could travel together and do all the things. But in this season, it looks different. So it's the pace that you talked about and being able to slow down and not neglect this because you're looking on to something that you think and deem more greater or more important or even more valuable than this. Because of maybe how it makes you feel. Like you would love to have the doctorate, right? Like you feel like I'm that man. But here, like you're our hero, you're our world, you're everything to us. Yeah. And so it's weighing what is more important in the moment. And I think it's also vital to, because you was like, if you get the green light. And I think the way that you can prioritize is bringing your spouse into the decisions that you make. Like, don't make a decision where it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you're doing it and not considering your spouse. I think bringing them into that decision is equally as important. And then something else I thought about is you can say that someone is a priority. I see this all the time in the bios on Instagram, and I love God, and you hear it in the Grammys and the speeches of first, I want to thank God, and, I want to give honor to God. It's the thing, right? But it's not enough to say that, I love you, you my soulmate, you my best friend, I put you first, I'll die for you. No, I need you to live for me, but I'll die for you, I'll do whatever it takes. if there's no action behind it. We can't say that we love God as the most important and prioritized person in our lives. We can't say that I love God, but we don't spend time with him. We don't talk to him. We don't pray to him. We don't read our words. So we can't say, I love you and I'm here for you, but I'm more focused on providing for you, but I'm not meeting any of your needs financially or emotionally, or I'm not willing to say no to this opportunity so that I can go on a date with you to make you feel like you are the most important. Or if I can't take time in my day to call you, like, it's not enough to just say it. You have to actually put action behind that. If I'm priority, then I should feel it in your words and in your actions.
Yeah, and I think you said something that really is, like, so cultural that we don't understand. Like, I ain't gonna say it's stupid, but understand just how backwards it is. Like, I understand the idea of, like, I'll die for you. Culturally, we say that so much that, no, like, I want you to live for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to be present for me. I want you to hug me. I want you to show up for me. I want you to be present at all of our things that we have, or, you know what I'm saying, when I need you, when I need to cry, like, I need you to be present. Like, I need you to be alive. Because what, like, in a figurative sense, what, like, I'll die for you looks like is I'll go and I'll run myself into the ground to make sure you're provided. You know what I'm saying? Like, we use these things and we don't even understand how they're shaping our mind and how we operate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really hinders us from being present. Like, and, like, as a leader, living for my family is, like, one of the greatest honors that I can have. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a difficult calling that a lot of people do run from it, you know, unfortunately. Like, when we get married, like, a lot of people don't consider the sorrows. Like, one of the things I've talked to some of my couples with is, you know, in the midst of, like, losing jobs and things like that, I tell them this transition is the most vulnerable position to be in as a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're pivoting into something new, because when you experience something new, you need to be so united that when you experience it, both of you can be on the same page rather than fighting each other and learning something new.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and when we're going through that process, we have to understand, like, yeah, this is new, but I still choose you.
I still choose you.
This is a new position, but I still choose you. Like, this is a new state, this is a new avenue, this is a new place in my life, but I'm still going to choose to show up for you over and over and over again. And what that looks like, as you mentioned earlier, might look different in this season than it looks in the next season. This season, honestly, it might look like I have to go and work. Like, I have to go and provide financially. That has to be a focus. But also, in another season, it might look like, okay, maybe somebody passed and I need to be more emotionally available to be a comfort in that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if something happens to you and I'm working, you know what I'm saying? Like, if something happens to somebody around you and I'm working and, like, I can't be available because I got to constantly make sure that the bills or whatever, like, that can be more damaging. Like, one of the reasons why, like, when people get put in a hole in prison, like, that isolation is so detrimental and harmful is because we weren't created to deal with that type of isolation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear the stories about how a husband will pass, like, if they're super close, a husband will pass and the wife will follow right after. Or the wife will pass and the husband will follow right after. Is because that feeling can be so overwhelming to the body. It's like, no, like,
that level of heartbreak. It just
happens. So even in the transitions, there has to be this, like, I choose you.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, I think that's important, the I choose you factor. No matter what's going on, of knowing, like, above anything else and anyone else, because that righteous jealousy comes from something taken our place where we feel like we should be in your life. And so one thing that helps me remember this, I had read it, I believe it was in Marriage on the Rock, but it was talking about you should budget your priorities like you do your money. And the priority is God, your spouse, your children, church, extended family, work, hobbies. Take it from there. And so if you have...
When you say God, you're referring to like a personal relationship with Him?
Personal relationship with God. Yeah, God. God Himself. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. But, the Trinity. So that should be first, right? So if I'm paying, my mortgage would be the first thing to get paid if I'm budgeting in terms of money and finances. So priority is going to be God, right? I'm going to spend time with God. I'm going to read my word. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to pray. Then it's going to be my spouse. I'm going to make sure that you're loved and you're cared for. I'm going to show up for you. I'm going to ask you, how can I serve you today? What can I do for you? We're going to prioritize date night. I'm going to prioritize intimacy because you matter most, right? Then it'll be our kids. We're going to make time for them, do things that get on their level, play with them, whatever that looks like. But if anything doesn't get paid, it's not going to be God, and it ain't going to be my spouse, and it ain't going to be my children. It's going to be whatever comes after that. I'm going to always make sure that I give you my best, and I'm not going to bring to you my leftovers. And I feel like so many times everybody outside of our home gets the best of us, and then we come home and we don't have the right attitudes. We can't smile. We grumpy. We stressed. We had a long day, and we give the leftovers to our families. And it shouldn't be like that. If we're going to prioritize, then start at the top. You ain't gonna work your way from the bottom up, prioritizing things out of order. You're gonna start from the top. And so always prioritize that, because it will not work if it's out of order. And if you're experiencing things in your marriage, then I would say that's the first thing that you should check. Make a list. What's your priorities? And then go from there. Okay, what matters most out of these priorities? And then, take it from there and see if your actions and what you're doing is aligning with your priorities. What you say your priorities are and what you're doing, your actions.
Yeah. And I think it's also needed to share that when we say that your spouse is your priority, it doesn't mean that if you have an event, or let's just say a ministry time plan, or let's just say this, like we have our discipleship groups our marital discipleship groups that we have. If we have that scheduled, then we know that that's something that God put on our heart and that we're going to commit to.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean like my spouse wants to go on a date night, so I'm gonna cancel that to go on this date night.
Oh, no.
We won't necessarily do that, but it's like, okay, if we really want to go on a date night, we gonna make sure we get it on calendar soon. If not that night, if not before.
Right.
Like,
or after, right?
We're
after.
going to make sure, because we know that that's a pivotal part of what keeps us connected.
Right.
And so whatever it is that keeps them connected, figuring out what that looks like.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that, because I know people can say like, oh well, dang, I have to work. Oh, work.
Work, please work.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not
like
saying
work.
Not to. Yeah, that's important.
But really figure out like what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am going to show up for my clients. You are my priority. Like, I know that if you call me more than a couple times, it's an emergency. Okay, then in that moment, I'm gonna have to step out. I'm gonna have to reschedule, something like that. But 9 times out of 10, if I get one call and I have my Apple Watch on, so I know, like I'm locked in, because this person is a soul that God has gifted me to care.
Yes.
God has gave me to say, I need you to walk with them through whatever they're going through, and I need you to be my representation here in this room.
Yes.
And so it's my job to remain as open, as available, and as present as possible for this client. And so work. But also in the moments where you need to prioritize your spouse, make sure that they are getting some of that budget. Because if not, you'll find yourself competing and figuring out you'll find out shortly that you'll go from like being super close and the years later not knowing how you got here. And it's in those moments of choosing each other over and over and over that you eradicate that from happening.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I think we should do the marriage in motion.
Marriage in motion.
Okay, so for this week, we want you guys, for the marriage in motion, we want you to practice putting your spouse first, right? And so do something every day to prioritize your spouse. It could be a midday text.
Yeah.
It can be canceling something to spend time with them. It can be asking their opinion before making a decision. It can be affirming them verbally. It can be planning a date night. Whatever that looks like, do something. It's the little consistent things, right, that builds up over time and that adds more value than you realize. And so do something every day for a week. And do something small that shows your spouse that they are prioritized and priority in your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, man, we will catch y'all on the next episode. Whether you're newlyweds or decades in, we still do. It's for you, and we truly believe that you can thrive after the altar.
Yes.
And until next time, peace.
Bye.
Always gonna love you and always. No doubt you're my blessing. Ain't no second guessing. No one can separate. We've had a good thing. Even after the altar, it's marriage in motion. We still do. We still do. We still do.